Okay, so hi, my name is Anamika. I will introduce myself with the slides later, but today is something special for those of you, all of us actually, who love our discounts and our, all those sales that happen all the time and selling that on e-commerce. So let me show you another way of going about how to sell intention in fashion and not just, clothes. So how do we do that? I would say that, so first introducing myself, and my notes are here to be very transparent with you, right? So I'm going to be here. My name is Dr. Anamika. I'm a doctor, like I was a dentist. I studied that, but I never practiced it because it's not e-commerce, which is more interesting. I'm here to tell you the things that we did when I was in my previous jobs with Amazon and Flipkart in India, and now I'm at Zalando. So what are the things that we did which were slightly different in terms of merchandising that differentiated us from those who were selling through discounting, and then what happened when we did that? So let's focus on the intention part of this statement, because I know that not all of us are from fashion, right? So it's okay, because we are going to focus on how do we find out the intention, and I'm going to present to you what happens with data when we actually forget about discounting for a bit and just go with selling intention. So, Dr. Anamika Datta, I have had 10 years of experience in e-commerce, and I have worked in both B2B, B2C, as well as now I'm in a B2E position. I'm a product manager. And as a product manager, I have had the pleasure to have worked through various industries: fashion, real estate, healthcare, and education as well. So, I bring to you a question. What do you think of yourselves as a customer when you're shopping for fashion, right? Let's take this scenario. You have Sylvester coming up, or you have a friend's birthday, or there's a wedding somewhere, or you need to buy something for your, beach holiday. Where do you go? What do you do? Obviously, now we need to take off our e-commerce hats and put on the hat of a customer. And that is what I do as a product manager in my day-to-day life. I try to look at what are the problems that our customers face from their own journey, and how we can solve those problems using technology so that it makes money for us by solving a customer problem, right? So a lot of time you might feel like, oh my God, I don't know what to buy. I don't know where to go. Everybody's telling me different things. I searched for a red dress on Amazon, and now I have 15,000 options. I don't know what to do. Right? And all I wanted to do was like go for a beach holiday, and now I'm stuck. Too many options, discounts here and there, categories. Now I have to select between things. So kind of like maybe going back to the basics of how a customer looks at shopping, and then how do we remove this frown and turn it upside down, right? Okay, so I'm going to present today two case studies. One from Flipkart, from my time there, and one from my time at Amazon. And I'm going to tell you that the things that I'm going to explain today, or the lessons that I learned, are still what I see being applied here in Europe at Zalando and other e-commerce platforms for fashion at least. So these are universal. These are transcending across timelines. So this is not something that happened once and will never happen again. I have seen it happening here in my experience as well. So let's dive into it, and let's start with Flipkart, right? Why am I comparing Flipkart and Amazon together? First of all, if you don't know, Flipkart is also like Amazon. They have a lot in common. Flipkart is an Indian e-commerce giant, and it's a giant. They have something called the big billion days, where they're actually making ₹1 billion, which might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot in Europe, I promise you. So they are both multi-category players. They are both rivals, and they were both new to fashion as a category. You know, it's easier to sell books online than it is to sell fashion, right? So these were both facing the same kind of challenges when they introduced this new category. And of course, they had me in common because I worked in both of these companies, so there's that. All right, let's start with Flipkart. So this is what happened when Flipkart tried to sell clothes in a bookstore. When Flipkart launched, it was a multiple success because they had solved a lot of the problems that e-commerce was facing in India back then. They started something called pay on delivery, which was something brand new. They even started, next day delivery, and a lot of things that we see today being really new and really, out-of-the-box solutions are actually something that were already being developed by Flipkart back in India. But then they were doing really well, and they decided to launch the category of fashion. And this is a different player. You cannot sell fashion like you sell books. We all know that. So let's see what happened. First, they launched men's clothing. Everything was fine somehow. The categories were fine. There was a lot of volume coming in. The upper end of the funnel, acquisition, etc., they looked really good. Customers were clicking on things. But they were not buying a lot. Why? Well, we thought it's a new category phenomenon, right? So we will take our learnings and go from there. But then we did the next thing. We launched women's clothing. And then we saw all of the things going horribly wrong. So what was happening was that the category was not sticky. People were clicking on things, but they were not actually buying things. They were buying things, but they were returning them faster. And they were buying things, but they were not coming back. Why was this? So as a really good company should always do, and as product managers we also do, is that we do customer discovery. We try to understand the market, we try to understand the customer, and we try to understand what are the pitfalls that we might be facing, which we can uncover through research and discovery. Here's what we found. Number one, we were merchandising fashion almost like we were trying to sell clothes at a bookstore. Imagine if you go to a bookstore, and there you find clothes hanging with like categories of, okay, these are the clothes you wear when you want to buy from this brand. Or these are just all the knickers and all the shoes. You know, it's like just categories, and then discount. But merchandised and styled and visually appealing the same way that books would be, which does not always work. Our bookstores should look different from a fashion store, right? I'll come to that. I will give you some visual examples. But let's look at what happens then. This is the visual example. As you can see, on the far right is the bookstore. In the middle, you have the women's clothing store. And on the left, you have the men's clothing store. I also want to give props to waybackmachine.com for letting me go back and take snapshots of these. So as you can see there, it's almost following the same ontology, the same kind of substructure. Visual merchandising is following almost the same pattern. And does it really look appealing to you? Like, do you even see the difference between men's clothing and women's clothing as a merchandising factor? I didn't see much difference, and neither did the customer. So what was happening was, we also forgot that there is gender diversity in shopping behavior and shopping goals. Let's be very honest with ourselves. We know that men and women shop differently. There is diversity in how they think, or maybe people who identify as men and women. There are people who also shop according to their economic status, or people who shop according to what their goals are from the shopping experience. So we had to take into account the differences in shopping behavior, not just between a book shopper and a fashion shopper, but also a shopper with the intention that they were coming to the store for. What we learned was that women shop a lot more in a more social way. For women, shopping is a more social, psychological experience, less of a transactional experience. And through numbers, we found out that men tend to go straight for the search bar, and they tend to shop more from categories. They search, 80% search, 20% browse. Women are shopping 60% with search and 40% by browse. So yes, they are both using search more than browsing, right? But women tend to browse more and tend to take more inspiration. They also tend to ask more questions. They like to get advice. They like to explore. And men usually go into it in a very straightforward manner. Sorry for not being very PC, but these are just numbers. It's not me making things up. So what we did was, we took all of these learnings, and then we put them together, and we started experimenting first with our women's category clothes, women's clothing category. And this is what it looked like before. And now, this is what it looked like after we were done doing whatever we wanted to do from a visual merchandising point of view. I'm going to move away so you can take a look at it. So we did not just introduce this. We did an A/B. We started by a 30% dial-up. We wanted to see what are the different metrics, how do they respond, is there success happening, are there different areas that we are actually gaining on, or are we actually losing money, right? So as we saw more and more success, which I will come to, we started dialing it up. So it was 30-70, 50-50, and then we started doing more like a 70-30 approach. 70% of the customers were looking at the new experience and 30% at the old experience. What did we do different? So as you can see, we were talking about trends. Instead of just saying, here's some shirts, tops, shoes, and jewelry, we were talking trends. We were saying, hey, splash was a trend back then. Jazz was a trend back then. It was really trendy to have those kind of those things in your wardrobe. So we introduced those. We were talking about things like getting a whole look together, because this is how people tend to shop. When we go into a store and we see a top we like, yes, we might purchase it, but we also tend to think, okay, what is in my wardrobe today that might match with this top, right? So we tend to think in a whole closet sort of scenario, a whole look. And this is what we were doing. Yes, it may sound like old news, but please keep in mind, if you're seeing this today in an e-commerce web shop, it means it has been working throughout the last 5-6 years, right? So it's nothing new, but that means it works, and that's why it's nothing new. Moving on. So as you can see, what we were also introducing were things like, we tied up with influencers. Who you see here, this lady, her name is Miss Malini. She used to be a really big influencer back then, and she was the one that women went to when they were looking for style advice. So we did identify that, and we did do tie-ups with them, and we didn't just do it, we didn't spread it around, we put it on the store so that it was right there for people to see, and we were open to feedback. We were actually asking the customer, how do you feel? Because from our research, we know that shopping comes also from a feeling, right? We know that certain, I will not name them, but certain bakeries and certain stores even have the cookie baking smell in their stores so that people would feel good and buy more. And that's the whole idea, is that we wanted to ask people, do you want to buy something casual? Are you looking for like a trendy thing today? Or is it for a certain special occasion that you want to shop? And this is the way that we categorized our store. So now let's talk about the most essential things. You can see the before and after. Yes, it looks pretty, definitely, compared to the old experience, but does it make money? Red gets down to business. Let's see if this is actually affecting, what we care a lot about is the top line. Here's the thing. Let's talk about the average sale price. ASP, or the average sale price, is the average price of any item on a store. And so if we have anything ranging from 10 euro to 100 euro, what is the median? What is the price at which people are buying the most? That is the ASP of that store. ASP can be decided by things like, what is the perception of your store? Is it a luxury store? Do people trust you? Is it something that you have, contextualize your product and then people feel like this makes sense for them to buy? Okay, so what happened with ASP? The ASP on the regular category pages was around, it was around 700 rupees, which is around 8 euro. The ASP on our store, on the lifestyle store, is 1600, which is about 20 euro. So that's around almost 3 times. That's a 150% increase in the ASP only. And this is without any discounting. If you go back to my slides, you will notice there were no discounts on that category page. Without discounting anything and without actually going the route of, hey, these are the categories, these are the discounts, now shop, we were giving them another meaning and intention to shop, and that gave us a 3 times ASP. Now let's get to business about the brand recall index. We know that if a customer recognizes your brand, they are more likely to come back and shop with you. They are more likely to shop for more, and they are more likely to shop for more expensive items. Because they recall your brand, they will search for your brand. They will be more comfortable shopping from your brand. They trust you. And this is the effect that we also see in the loyalty programs that we introduce. We are always trying to have a brand recall, right? Well, brand recall for Flipkart fashion, and I'm not talking about Flipkart as an e-commerce company, only Flipkart fashion, went up by 37% YOY from the time that we launched the lifestyle store. Please also notice that we didn't call it the women's fashion store, we called it the women's lifestyle store. Because fashion for us is about a certain lifestyle that you aspire to, and this is what we found out in our research, and this is what we applied. And then more and more customers started associating Flipkart with fashion. Today, if I I will say the name of this company to you and think of the first category that comes to your mind. Amazon. Anybody? Electronics, right? Thank you. I can't name any else, but right, yeah, okay, let's go with that. Now, but you know that Amazon also sells books and fashion and actually everything under the sun. But when one thinks of Amazon, one thinks of electronics, right? And this is exactly what was happening. When one thought of Flipkart, they used to think books, which is a really low ASP category with a lot of competition, and we didn't want that. And fashion was a new category in e-commerce in India. We wanted to maximize on that and be the early gainers of the market as fast as we could. And that happened at least by 37% YOY with the store. Now let's talk conversion, right? You know the funnel. Everything is great. People are coming. You can spend a lot of money on your marketing. You can pay people to visit your store. You can get them to click as well, right? But where it actually matters is how much money are you making? What is the conversion? How many people are actually buying things? So if you are in fashion e-commerce, you know that usually a good conversion or an average conversion on your category page would be around 2.2%. That was around it for us on the fashion category page. On the thematic stores, it was 5%, and actually slightly more than 5%, which gives us twice as much conversion as we were getting from selling through categories and discounts and promotions and sales. So customers were more likely to buy something. They were twice as likely to buy something from the thematic store, from the contextual store, than they were to buy something from the old way of selling categories and discounts. So nothing succeeds like success. We all know now examples. So when we found success on the lifestyle store, we actually duplicated it across luxury watches, even a health store, and then we had thematic pop-ups, which started back then, and you see it today happening a lot in the European and American, South American space in e-commerce, is that now we have so many thematic stores. We have started building stores with brands. So the concept of a brand store was introduced as well. For a place for the brand, in the whole crowd of your marketplace, the brand gets one space where they can talk about their stories and where they can talk about their merchandise the way they want. And this is becoming another new monetization option for our marketplaces today at Zalando and Amazon. You can buy a brand store and you can actually tell your brand story and they will help you with that, because the numbers speak for themselves. All right, speaking of Amazon, this is my second case study. I'll keep it short, but I was at Amazon in a very, very different category. I was trying to sell precious jewelry, which is gold, and this is basically fine jewelry, what we call it in the Western world. And we were not doing so well. And the problem was because now this category is precious gold and diamonds and silver. So you can imagine how expensive those items are. And people who are not even able to touch them or feel them, they can just have a view on a window, right? Like they will not be so prone to purchase it. And if anybody who has worked with Amazon or at Amazon or as a seller, you already know that the prime real estate on Amazon is the homepage, right? The homepage as a page is fiercely guarded by the merchandisers there, and the team really, really takes into account every single pixel because it's worth a lot. The CTR are really high, conversion is high, all the traffic comes to the homepage, it's got the maximum number of eyeballs. But when they see that a category is not performing really well, they tend to give it less and less space on the homepage, right? Because the category is not performing well, they get less eyeballs. Because they get less traffic, there are less people coming to the page. Because there are less people coming to the page, there's less conversion. Because there's less conversion, they just reduce the amount of discovery. So basically, it's a cycle of doom for any category which is a high ASP category. Just because of that, the conversion is extremely low, and it's just like a spiral of nothingness. Well, again, we got into discovery to see what are the problems actually. Why are people not buying fine jewelry from Amazon? Fashion jewelry was super easy to sell. Well, we were facing an uphill battle. And what we discovered was that it is a very conservative market. You might have heard of things like, I will see it and then I will believe it, right? But for fine jewelry in India, it goes to the next level. They want to see it, touch it, smell it, bite it, talk to their astrologer, talk to their family, have meetings about it, and then maybe if they feel that the time is right, they will buy it, right? Very conservative. Trust was a huge factor. We didn't have a lot. Online, nobody knows if I'm even going to get the right, jewelry. Is it going to be pure? Is it going to be fake? I don't know. So trust is easily lost. Now in this scenario, if you put a discount on jewelry, what are people going to think? They might think, this jewelry is online, and they put a discount on it. It's probably fake. I'm not going to buy this one. I'm going to go to the store that I trust and I know. That was the first problem. The second problem was that it's not a problem, it's just a factor of the market. So please keep in mind, why I'm showing you this, I know you don't work with the Indian market, but please keep in mind the local traditions and the culture, which will affect the way people shop. In this case, it turns out that when you're selling gemstones in India, people don't just buy them because they look pretty and they want something nice for their rings. They buy them because gemstones are connected to their astrological sign, their time of birth, the problems that they might be facing during that time in their lives, and there are certain goals attached to them. So I'm not saying that this is very relevant to the European market, but please identify the factors by doing your research and understanding your customer. Why is it that they are not, what is stopping them? How do they shop? What enables them to shop? Last but not the least, seasonality. There are 3 times in India when people buy gold. When there is a festival called Dhanteras, it actually happens one day in the year, one day. This is the most auspicious time to buy gold, and this is when people flock. Even online, they don't mind it, they will buy. The second and the third are both wedding seasons. Yes, seasons for marriages in India. They happen twice a year, one time in the summer and one time during the winter. And I know this is also true for Europe and for the US. So because of this seasonality, our category was only able to manage to sell most of their products during 3 times of the year. This was a problem because you can't function with seasonality only. Well, we started solving the first problem of a conservative market with going really heavy on trust. One of the ways that we did that was obviously to talk a lot more and really talk really big. We took a lot of real estate just to talk about the fact that the gold is hallmarked, that the jewelry is certified, that they can return the jewelry within 10-day returns, and the delivery is secure. Nobody's going to steal your ring or your gold necklace on its way to you. We also built trust by only associating with known brands that people already shop from. We stopped associating with smaller brands, which might not be good news for SMEs, but it was necessary for us to do. We got expert partnerships for gemstones. There is a celebrity, this gentleman that you see is actually very well known in India. His name is Bejan Daruwala. He's an astrologer. People consult him. He comes on television. He's very well known. And if he says, buy the gemstone, you will buy the gemstone. That was the spirit of the market. So we partnered with him. Simple as that. So literally, this is how a product detail page on, even today, by the way, this is a very new screenshot. This gemstone has been energized by the world-famous astrologer, Bejan Daruwala, who has personally said that, yeah, this is energized, you can buy it. It's good for you, and it will do you well. We can laugh about it, but this is really true for people. It really helped us sell more, and yeah. The other kind of expert partnerships that we did was with investment advisors. We had a category within gold and jewelry which spoke of gold coins and silver coins. We started associating with investment advisors who spoke about buying gold and silver coins during low seasonality times when they are cheaper as an investment for the future. And this actually helped us gain market share during the non-seasonal times, which we spoke about. Last but not the least, this is India. We're talking about Bollywood works. We started also collaborating with a lot of movies, and we brought Bollywood in. We went with big guns. Amazon spent a lot of money, and we got it all back, which is what we're going to talk about. But familiarity is the key word. I know we don't have Bollywood here, but please take some time into thinking and actually doing research on what your customer thinks is familiar for them, what do they associate with, what brings out the inspiration for them to actually go out and seek a product. And that comes from familiarity, aspiration, Bollywood in this case. Let's get down to business. We spoke a lot about astrologers and Bollywood, and now it's time to talk money, and this is where it gets interesting. The results I will show in terms of the funnel. Well, acquisition, since we were doing so much collaboration with Bejan Daruwala and with experts, we did actually rely on the homepage properties to give us traffic. We got that traffic through word of mouth and through the channels of our celebrity influencers, and that actually increased acquisition for us 30% YOY. This is actually slightly less than 30%. I've rounded it up, but yeah. In the middle, we also did a lot of changes. Like I said, the trust markers. We also upgraded our homepage, our category page to look like it's selling something expensive. Before we made changes on the category page visually, it looked like a bookstore, yes. And you don't buy jewelry from a bookstore, do you? So we kind of upgraded it. We invested a lot in the look and the feel. And we experimented with that, and that gave us a better CTR, which is click-through rate, which means there was a 150% increase. More people, 3 times, were clicking on the things that we were showing them on the page. And last but not the least, the conversion, which is always my favorite and the most relevant metric. Conversion, the best result we could have had was that the conversion went up for us by about 40%, and this is not a YOY result. The 40% is coming only from 6 months of doing the activation that I just spoke to you about. And these 6 months we thought it would take about a year for us to reach any conversion increase, but this was so fast that it surprised us. Of course, there were some pitfalls and some failures along the way, but that happens along the way as you go. That's why we do experimenting. That's why we A/B. Okay, but the most important bonus that we got, both at Flipkart and at Amazon, and which was totally unexpected and came way after the first year and the second year, was the loyalty factors. Tracking customers allowed us to notice more and more the customers who had actually been to the new stores were coming back for more. They were also shopping more. They were shopping more frequently, and they were shopping a lot bigger basket sizes. So we were seeing the effect of loyalty without actually having to spend time and money on a loyalty program. We know today that Flipkart, Amazon, Zalando, ASOS, everybody, every big company, every company actually wants to have a loyalty program. This is the buzzword of the day. Why? Because CLV, customer lifetime value, it shows us that the more the more the retention is, the higher the loyalty is, the more we get out of a customer in terms of money. And that is something that we got without intentionally trying to promote loyalty. It just happened on its own. So there are many ways of promoting loyalty. It's not just through a loyalty program, it's through understanding your customer as well. All right, so let's get to the lessons. I have some of them here. They are bullet points. They are universal. They are not time-bound. I think they will age gracefully. So let me introduce my first one. Yeah, instead of saying, hey, here's some stuff, buy it. It's great. What you want to say is, are you thirsty? I have some water for you. Would you like to feel better? You know what I'm saying? Selling intention is more important than trying to push a product on a customer, and how you will know that you're selling intention is when you take the time to understand your customer. We simply help the customer achieve the aspirational value that they seek out from fashion. Because fashion is not just clothing. It's more like the way they want to dress, the way they want to identify themselves, the way they want to be. You know, dress for the job you want, right? Fake it till you make it. It's all aspiration. And we just help the customers achieve that goal. We are organized internally. This is a big mistake I see, is that since we are organized inside the company, we are organized as, buying, selling, and then within buying and selling, we have categories like, okay, footwear, tops, bottoms, So we think that the customer, this is the best way to sell to the customer as well. We tend to organize our stores just the way that we tend to organize ourselves inside. And don't get me wrong, categories are not a bad way to get your customer to the right place because they need some guidance, they need some map. But once they're in your category page, you can then have the opportunity to use this space to tell them a different story, to help them learn more about what your product is about, to help identify, okay, where do they need guidance? What is the difference between carrot, clarity? What is the difference between a leopard print and an alligator print? What is better, silk or cotton? There you can take full advantage. Use categories to bring people to the place, and then use the place to bring people to shop. Know your customer. Super important. I keep saying this because I'm a product manager and I work a lot with research teams. Please go out. If you don't have a customer research process, please create one. You have to talk to your customer face to face. You have to understand what they're doing. Getting all the reports is great. Also, other ways are to look at your site metrics and see how people are interacting with your website. But please talk to your customers. And if you have somebody who's already doing it, talk to the people who are talking to the customers. Or you can also talk to your friendly product manager, because we love to share our learnings, right? Now, another important thing is to know your category. Please don't sell fashion in bookstores. Please don't sell books in a jewelry store. And please don't try to sell an apple with how beautifully orangey it is, right? Apples are apples, oranges are oranges. Categories are different, and every category has its own USP. So please know your category. Know yourself, know your business, your team. One person that we need to talk to is the site merchandiser, your visual merchandiser, the person who is actually trained in helping your customers identify the products and present them in the best way possible. Please talk to them. Hire the best visual merchandisers for your online store. If you have an offline store, please go pay a visit and see what are the similarities you can draw from them. What are the learnings that your offline stores can give you? Also, are you a premium business? Are you a luxury business? Budget, mass? You will use this information, obviously, to do the right merchandising. Now, let's talk about one-time transactions versus long-term relationship with your customers. One-time transactions are great. I can push you to buy something from me today, and that's a success today. But what I really want is that you should keep coming back. You should feel so inspired that you find value in what you found, and then you want to build upon it, build a relationship with your customer. So while discounts and bold callouts are great for transactions, and we all know that, of course, sales go up. But we also want to make sure that they are not our only differentiator. You can choose amongst many differentiators: product offering, exclusivity, better service, delivery, whatever you want, choose it, and that will be your differentiator. Please do not make discounts your differentiators. And if the proof is in the news, there are so many articles talking about the different things that are done by different companies all over the world who are moving away from discounting as a tactic and moving more into storytelling and merchandising. Same goes for e-commerce. So in a price war, again, I'm going back to the last topic. In a price war, like in real war, everybody loses, right? But when you make the customer feel loved and understood, that is when you build a rewarding relationship with them. And so we should all aim to make love, not war, right? Thank you, and that was it. That's